This podcast has been a success. Thousands of streams, thousands of downloads. You know, it's interesting, man, how when you look at the spectrum and you observe it and the way that I have and that I do, given that I was an avid reader when I was a kid, I used to read a lot of books, man. I used to go to the library, borderline autistic. I mean, not really autistic. I just say borderline autistic because I was a high IQ kid. And, I was tested for giftedness because, well, I paid attention, man, and I did what I was supposed to when I was a kid. So I read a lot of books. I just go and sit in the library and just read books all day because there was no internet, and I talk about this quite a bit. So I grew up reading books, man. I used to scan through books, thumb through books, just go and just like pick up random books and just read like books in the library. My grandparents had an encyclopedia set, which at the time it was a privilege to have that. And I read those encyclopedias like kids watch movies. My cousin Rizzo and I, we read those encyclopedias back front to back multiple times because we used to like to read, man. So I was reading college textbooks when I was very young in elementary school and reference books and whatnot. I'm also a huge fan of The Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, those TV shows, the old ones and the modern versions. It's interesting, man, people who, like I said, when you look at the spectrum and you see it in the way that I do and that I observe it, you realize, man, that society is fucking lied to. Society is deceived in a large way, in a big way, in a large part. A large part of society is deceived, and it's led to believe one thing when in fact the complete and total opposite is true. And it's just apparent, man. I mean, these people, and the irony is that you have these rappers and these different young adults and kids and others who talk about the Illuminati, and there are all these different fucking conspiracy theories about all these different secret societies and whatnot. And I do see some fools awakening and seeing it for what it really truly is, like the movie They Live. I see an awakening of those who used to be liberal, so-called liberal, and Democrat. I see a metamorphosis taking place. Not an Obama change, because that was a farce. That was farcical. I'm talking about a real, true metamorphosis. That is transformation. That is change. And I see this spell slowly but surely wearing off. The spell that was cast in that you had black African Americans, as we had previously called ourselves, because someone came up with this idea and said, let's call ourselves black African Americans. And before that, it was Negroes. And before that, it was coloreds. And it was all this and all that and all this and all that. The term always changes. The designation, the categorization, the class, the this, the that, the type, the category. It's always and forever fucking changing. With popular opinion and consensus and this and that and so on and so forth. When I read Malcolm X's book, and I took black studies when I was in high school and junior high school, when I saw the movie, when I read the book, when I read Roots by Alex Haley, when I saw the movie, when I read the various books, African diaspora, African American diaspora, when I read the different books involving the civil rights era, civil rights movement, the original Black Panthers, all the different groups and organizations, the movement, different movements, etc. I look at now and compare and contrast to, say, like the 1960s. Malcolm X would be sorely fucking disappointed in these folks who nowadays, they claim that they're Black power, or that they're Black Lives Matter, or that they're radical black militants. Malcolm X would look at today's timeline and be saddened by the ignorance of these motherfuckers who themselves claim to be, that is, to perpetuate and promulgate and further and promote this notion of black is beautiful, black militancy, black power, black is the way. However you want to phrase it, however you want to frame it, however you want to coin it, term it, however you want to depict and portray it. Malcolm X would look at today and be fucking sickened by what he sees and hears. Because there are a lot of fake motherfuckers running around with these banners, with these different mantras, with these different slogans, with these different mottos, with these different sayings and expressions, and they in no way, shape, or form. By the way, I'm one Sir Grove, the host of this show. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a true fan, that is the larger 495. If you're an absolute true fan, 495 as a whole, we most certainly, truly reciprocate and appreciate you for being true. If you're a true. Malcolm X, in contrast, juxtaposition that is, to these fucking fools of today, they in no way, shape, or form embody what he stood for. Period. Bottom fucking line. Not end of discussion. We're going to further the discussion. So, in this intellectual discourse, this is not a diatribe per se. No, it is not. This isn't a treatise. No. This isn't even necessarily a dissertation. But it could be thought of as such. It's informal. It's just a message, man. And my message that I'm conveying is that knowing what took place from what I've read, that 99% of these motherfuckers have not read, are not knowledgeable thereof, are not understanding, are not of that understanding. Knowing what I know from what I've seen, from what I've read, from what I know, from what I've observed, the lack of coordination, the lack of understanding, the misperceptions, the mishandling of these supposedly carryover legacies, these new Black Panther Party members supposedly being a continuation of the original, Black Lives Matter somehow drawing from the original civil rights era movements. It's not even, there's no real true fucking correlation, man. Not in the way that Malcolm X and the other civil rights leaders of the time conducted and carried out business, handled business. It's not the fucking same, man. It's not even close. What you have is arrogant people who are hateful, who all they can do is say that something is racist, and that's all they know is racism and the word racist and racism. They're angry, and they're ignorant, and they're misguided, and they're misled, and they think they know some shit that they don't. And so their whole posture is to just run amok, blab some shit without doing actual research. And rather than sound qualified, credentialed, in any way, shape, or form educated, all they can say is Donald Trump is a racist, 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 racist. That's it. Of course, sprinkled in with Donald Trump is a misogynist and he hates people of color and he's a racist. Just a circle. Just a fucking recursive feedback loop circle. That's it. That's their attention span. A lot of these fools that think that they are in some way helping the cause of minorities and the underrepresented. Instead of understanding the true nature of reality, they pick this very finite, very small data set of discrete mathematics. And they latch on to that. And their story, again, that they promulgate, that they perpetuate, that they exude and exhibit, and by which they are characterized, their narrative is Donald Trump is racist, 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 and they think that that in some way makes them sound intelligent, informed, knowledgeable, when they have absolutely zero proof of that statement, which is a mathematical fallacy in and of itself. It's flawed. The very premise, the very supposition is false and flawed. Therefore, everything else associated with it is also fundamentally flawed from the very beginning, from the outset of their so-called engagement in intellectual discourse. There is no real intellectual discourse. And if they begin with anything that sounds as if it resembles some type of intellectual discourse, regardless of one's academic background, PhD level on down, what you ultimately get to invariably is that that person will say Donald Trump is racist, 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 and then you, that is us, we, Republican conservatives, the Republic, we are in their minds supposed to accept that at face value as if it's some type of universal truth, as if it is actual factual reality. And they live in denial of reality, not even understanding that the Republican Party is the party that freed the slaves. They do not understand, just as in the universe of The Outer Limits and The Twilight Zone, they do not understand that it is Stockholm syndrome, and that they are mentally enslaved over hundreds of years of time, and that they are adhering to the party of slavery. They are Steven from Django. They are the house nigga. They are the fucking mental slaves who are enslaved, and they are steadfastly holding to their mental fucking enslavement. And the sick part of it all is that they have no inclination, zero clue whatsoever that they are actually holding true and dear to the very fucking group, organization, cabal that enslaved them from the very beginning of fucking time in North America. They go out of their way because obviously the left, with its spin masters, drive-by media, apparatchiks, the whole setup, kit and caboodle, the whole fucking shebang, all these schmoes, lousy bums, these fucking goddamn schmucks who are at the top of the hierarchy. That is the hierarchical wireframe diagram, top to bottom. The puppet masters, the George Soroses of the world. The motherfuckers with the money, with the deep pockets, the elites, that is, who through this contrivance, this apparatus, the apparati of this world global nexus, this network, this labyrinthine maze of this amorphous entity, They send out the signals. They broadcast the signals. Deceptive, deceitful information, false data to that system's underlings, the denizens, the rabble-rouser, the misfits, the miscreants, the heathens, those who are enslaved, the slaves. I'm saying the peasantry because it's a medieval system of enslavement. If you look at the new Jim Crow laws, if you look at these people and the party that they represent, the Communist Party of America, there is no person of color, brown, black, in terms of what color means in North America. Every human being has a skin color. When I say color in the context of this particular episode of this podcast, C4CW, Casting 495 Celebrities Worldwide, I am referring to the Communist Party of America. There is no chief, no director, no manager, no one in charge at the top who is a person of color. It's white Caucasian. Mao Zedong, Pol Pot, Stalin, Mussolini, Hitler, white Caucasian. Yet, these black African Americans, brown folk, they adhere to this world global system, some of them, and they espouse and support this worldwide system of socialism, Marxism, and communism. And there is no one who is a person of color at the top of that pyramid scheme. Yet, for some reason, in the real world outer limits Twilight Zone, and I say some reason somewhat facetiously, somewhat rhetorically, despite all academic accolades, academic scholastic achievements, collegiate merit, studies, undergraduate, graduate level, PhDs on down the chain, the food chain, the hierarchy, the totem pole. You have fools who claim to be smart, intelligent, educated, knowledgeable. They will present, provide, express, broadcast, disseminate, convey all of this information that they claim is somehow and in some way intelligent information that goes against Donald Trump and his administration and the white, supposedly white, alt-right, right-wing, conservative, Republican, GOP establishment. Yet, despite such, notwithstanding, they themselves are adherents to the communist, socialist, Marxist, KKK party of white supremacy. They are mentally enslaved and have no fucking clue that the party that they are against, the GOP, the Republican Party, is the very party that freed the actual slaves that predate their timeline. They have no fucking clue in the world. Some have awakened. Some are truly woke. But a vast majority, over 90%, are still not woke. And they're still mentally enslaved in mental bonds, shackles, just as the time of the Civil War era and before, and shortly sometime thereafter. Despite the fact that it's the 21st century, currently at the time of this recording, 2019, there are fools who support the Democrat Party of America, which is no more, It's now the Socialist Marxist Communist Party of America, which it technically has always been in the background, on the fringe, those in the fray, on the fringe of society. Now, it's the larger entity that has engulfed the Democrat Party that was decimated and imploded into a vacuum. During that power grab, the Socialist, Communist, Progressive, Marxist Party of America, it came and grabbed what power remained and absorbed that power into itself. So now you have an entity that's far more nefarious, far more wicked, far more diabolical, malevolent, and pure evil than ever before. So you ask yourself, well, how can there be anything more evil than slavery? Well, now you have slavery with the internet that is a global mechanism, vehicle, to mentally enslave fools worldwide. Before, the internet did not exist. People read books. People traveled. And they learned. And they saw, and they observed, and they heard, and they sensed. Now, the computer tells fools what to believe. And the gullible, the undereducated, the weak-minded, and ironically, the educated, they're drawn in more than ever before. Because the signal with the advent of the internet has been amplified globally. There are more mentally enslaved fools on this planet than in all of human history. Those seeds that were laying some hundreds of years ago sprouted and budded and bloomed and spread, became vines and tentacles that have spread out and entrenched the masses. When they say they hear it through the grapevine, Donald Trump is racist. It's an almost never-ending, almost unending system of brainwash. Global, worldwide brainwash enslavement. And again, they are oblivious to the fact that what they are chanting, what they are claiming, what they are saying, what they are stating, their remarks are and is completely fallacious. Absolutely false data. Their minds are part of a beehive that's neurally linked across the internet, the grid. Not only have they been stuck in the rut of it all for technically centuries, 400 years approximately of mental enslavement, now it's digital. And the signal has been amplified. And again, they have zero idea that what they hold to, what they espouse, as opposed to eschewing, what they espouse is the very system of mental enslavement and slavery that they believe is on the other side. They have no clue. They're mentally enslaved. The system that mentally enslaves them is delighted. And when you attempt to communicate with these vessels, these humans, these beings, and explain that you, the conservative Republican, are from the very party that from the very beginning, from the outset, sought to free that human mind of theirs. All they see, hear, sense, detect is Donald Trump is racist, 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 racist. Donald Trump is racist, 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 racist. Even though Donald Trump is the one of many, is one of many here to free the slaves.